the Jets traded Elijah Moore to the Cleveland Browns. And they traded Elijah Moore and pick 74 for pick 42.
Yes.
And for some reason, you're down about this, Dehls.
I am.
The Jets traded a locker room cancer, a diva wide receiver that production did not match, to move up 30 spots in the draft. That's worth it for me. We can replace this guy easily with a Josh Downs in the draft. Jalen Hi-Hat, come to New York. We can replace him. But guess what? This was more important.
What's that?
Connor Hughes said that OBJ wants to play with Rodgers. We know Rodgers has said he wants to be a Jet. Moving Elijah Moore was just freeing up a space for OBJ.
Is that what this was?
And if we get OBJ, Elijah Moore, goodbye. I mean, this guy's all talk, no production. He has not produced. You mentioned it earlier in the season when the Jets started off 5-2 and he requested a trade. You did not like it. I was fine with it because Mike LaFleur was a horrible play caller in my opinion, and I thought, well, he did ruin Zach Wilson. Well, Zach Wilson's we know he's gonna bounce back.
No. All right, no.
That's what we're opening.
No, that's not what I don't have an issue with this because now this is so bizarre to me because I didn't have an issue with this maybe 2 hours ago, but now I have an issue.
Okay.
Because you didn't have a problem with Elijah Moore requesting a trade then, but now suddenly Elijah Moore's this fraud. He's a bum. You're happy he's off your team.
I never said he's a bum.
I
never said that.
Produce.
He hasn't produced. The way he talks, he has not produced.
But
he has
why?
not produced.
But I don't understand now. Where's this sudden disdain for Elijah
My
Moore?
disdain for Elijah Moore comes from not only did he request a trade, which was I defended Elijah Moore for requesting that trade.
That's why I'm here baffled.
But this is the thing. As the season progressed, he yelled at coaches. They were not going to honor his trade request regardless. And what did he do? He came back to the Jets, and he didn't work his ass off. On plays, he gave up on blocks. He didn't block his assignment. There was a reason why Denzel Mims was playing over this guy, because he was not doing his assignment. He was not. He's not a good enough player to take plays off. That's what I'm saying. And he took plays off for the Jets. And I'm going to go back to the saying that I see across Jets Twitter. If you don't want to be a Jet, then who cares? You're gone. He doesn't want to take pride in wearing that green and white. Then get out of here. Skedaddle. I don't want you on my team because we're getting Odell Beckham Jr. We're getting Aaron Rodgers who wants to wear that green. We got Garrett Wilson who likes to wear that green. We got Sauce Gardner who's branded his entire YouTube channel around green and sauce. They want to be Jets. Elijah Moore didn't want to be a Jet. He wanted to get his stats. And if you want to get paid, do you. But he's always been a me guy. He's always been a me guy. He's never been a team dude. He's never been it. So listen, if now the Browns,
it always kills me.
The Browns now just, I feel like
in absolutes.
It's been like 4 years now. 3 of the last 4 years, the Browns have won the offseason. And I'm going to sit here and say they've made some goddamn good moves.
It's been so good.
Juan Thornhill, Dalvin Tomlinson, Okoro Okoronkwo, now getting Elijah Moore. Now, listen, I understand where some people can say that now, the Browns are going to be amazing. You have Amari Cooper, Peoples-Jones, Njoku, Elijah Moore. The running game's going to be there. Deshaun Watson was horrible this past season, man. 31st in EPA per play, 30th in success rate, 32nd in completion over expectation. He did face tougher defenses. I'll give him that. But, man, if Deshaun Watson doesn't go back to being an elite quarterback, this is going to be horrible. He cannot just be good. He has to be elite.
Are you out on Deshaun?
I'm out on Deshaun.
Ooh.
And you know what? Baker Mayfield's making the playoffs before the Browns. And before
how much you want to put on that?
Baker Mayfield's making the playoffs with the Bucks before Deshaun Watson makes it with the Browns.
He almost baited me.
NFC,
he almost baited me.
Yeah.
I'll give it
Do
to
it.
him. He almost got
You got the Saints in the NFC South with Derek Carr.
We don't know if he's going to beat out Kyle Trask for the job.
How much he will beat out Kyle Trask.
Yeah, you better pray to
God. Baker Mayfield,
he doesn't beat out Kyle Trask. His time might be over.
Chatting, he better fucking win that
I wouldn't rule out having Jacoby Brissett have a better season than Deshaun.
I'll be honest, Falcons are one of those teams to look out for.
Eric Bieniemy, Jacoby, the weapons Washington has.
I'm bugging. What am I thinking about?
I mean, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Eric Bieniemy calling plays. Jacoby's going to beat out Sam Howell, in my opinion. We'll see what happens, but he will beat him out. And Jacoby, I like Jacoby a lot, man. I like Jacoby.
Better than Deshaun?
He's not better than Deshaun, but he played better than him this past season for sure.
All right. Talk about Elijah Moore. I'm sorry, Joel. I know that we're talking about your Jets, but I just want to get my words off a little bit. I'm not pleased if I'm the Jets for doing this. I will say, For both sides, though, in terms of organization, this is a firm deal. You got a second-round pick for Elijah Moore, who really has not proven all too much.
Gave up a third in the process.
I believe, a third, too, is not ideal.
Second round pick though, that's huge.
Very limited draft capital.
It is.
Like 6 picks.
But I'll say this: if it frees up the cap space in order for you to bring in an Odell, this makes Aaron Rodgers a little bit happier. Then sure, this move is sound with me, and you get pretty decent draft capital for this. One thing I will say is, you guys better get Aaron Rodgers. You better get Aaron Rodgers, because then a lot of this chatter, a lot of this noise is for nothing. And I'm not saying that I'm rooting against you guys to get Aaron Rodgers, but really, we're talking like things, we want to talk about absolutes. We're talking like it's an absolute fact that Aaron Rodgers is going to the Jets. Right now, there's so much up in the air right now with the discussions and what's the proper trade package for an Aaron Rodgers right now, who's saying, if you're not trading me to the Jets, I'm retiring. So essentially, Green Bay has minimal leverage, but they still believe since they have Aaron Rodgers, they have all this leverage because he obviously is worth two first-round picks. But Aaron Rodgers going on Pat McAfee's show kind of has handcuffed the Green Bay Packers in what they could potentially get in an Aaron Rodgers trade. But if they don't get Aaron Rodgers, then a lot of this stuff is for nothing. And we're back to square one of who's going to be your quarterback. And if it's Zach Wilson next season, then I'm sorry, but
Won't be
throw all this chatter away. Throw all this chatter away, because I promise you, Odell's not coming to town. You're going to have to deal with, of course, Garrett Wilson being a superstar, and that's happy. I'm happy with that. And Breece Hall, of course, has all the upside in the world as well, but I don't love your receivers. Allen Lazard, to me, is a decent wide receiver 2. I'd say low-end wide receiver 2. Corey Davis is not going to be back on the team, most likely. McCole Hardman was a cute signing, but that's if Aaron Rodgers is a New York Jet.
He's a Barrios replacement.
I'm interested. I'm intrigued if Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. If Zach Wilson's the quarterback, then McCole is just another signing.
But Aaron Rodgers will be our quarterback.
Bro. Yeah, it's a long shot. Zach Wilson will be a starter week 1.
Of course. I'm just saying. I'm talking as we stand right now, because right now Aaron Rodgers intends to play with the Jets. But until that is finalized, I'm not going to sit here and say like it's signed, sealed, and delivered. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just trying to remain
realistic.
Even keel. Exactly.
Yeah, I hear you.
But in terms of Cleveland Browns, we're going to talk about Cleveland in a little bit. At least I am. But I love this move. I really do. You add another weapon to this core. I like Donovan Peoples-Jones' upside, no doubt. But now you add a little bit more depth at the wide receiver position. That's always a positive. You want to give Deshaun the most comfort in the pocket with weapons that he can trust. And I want this to still remain a Nick Chubb-oriented offense. Of course, it's not going to be because Deshaun Watson's your quarterback, but I mean that in the sense of Nick Chubb needs to be an integral part of what you're going to do offensively. He is too good to leave him out there where he is not getting as many carries as he should, because he showed last season when he got that workload, he can make things happen. And the Browns had continued success. Of course, it's going to be Deshaun-oriented. It needs to be with the money that he's making. You're right. Deshaun has to be great. He can't be good. He has to be great. I believe he will be great. He missed a year. He comes back, misses almost the entirety of the year, plays around 5 games. He was rusty. It was evident. He showed flashes, but for more often than not, he did not look his normal self. But bringing in Elijah Moore to this group that's already pretty solid, in my opinion, I love the move for the Browns.
And for the Browns, who have very limited draft capital, the fact that you're able to get a third-round pick back, you move back 30, 40 slots, was it? So I think the fact that you get Elijah Moore, the wide receiver, is great, but you also still keep some sort of draft capital, even though it is back the third round. For the Jets, first of all, I think Aaron Rodgers will be the quarterback. I find it very hard to believe that this wouldn't happen. And there's been a lot of talk on Jets Twitter. You see Connor Hughes talking about all the time, Zach Rosenblatt, about which team has more leverage. And I'm with them. Neither team has leverage in this situation, right? The Packers' only option is to trade him to the Jets. The Jets' really only option is to get Aaron Rodgers. If plan B is fucking Ryan Tannehill, where we have a lot of problems, right? And Lamar seems like an outside shot at this point. So I don't think either team really has any leverage here. They're just standing off. Is one team going to budge first? And I was telling Drew on the way here, next week is the owner meetings. So Woody Johnson, Joe Douglas, the Packers front office, they're all going to be together in person. I have some hope there that things will get resolved. If not, it feels very unlikely that this goes past the NFL draft. The Packers are going to want to bring in guys to help this year. I know they might think we could contend, this roster is good, but why would you wait an extra month or two if you're going to trade Rodgers regardless and not just get picks in the 2023 draft that could help you this year. So I think the absolute latest this goes is the draft day. They can even meet even as early as next week if Woody Johnson's able just to get this past the finish line. But to talk about Elijah Moore, I know, earlier in the year when he requested the trade, I wasn't a fan of it because we were winning. And I still believe that. Listen, if you don't want to be on the Jets, I get it. It's fine. He wanted to go put up numbers. He wants the targets, which I understand he's a young player still trying to prove himself. But the Jets right now, as Drew alluded to, the wide receiver core without Odell Beckham, when you just have Garrett Wilson and Lazard and McCole Hardman and Denzel Mims as your wide receiver 4 right now, it's a bit underwhelming, right? You do have Garrett, who could be a top 10 receiver this year. He was just 15th in receiving yards last season, put up 1,100 yards or whatever it was with terrible quarterback play. But you do have some guys that you look around and say they could play some roles, right? Lazard is a great run blocker. He's a big body. McCole is your deep threat. But it does feel like they're missing that, what I said on my Twitter, like an above average guy at wide receiver 2. And I thought that's what Elijah Moore could be, right? He doesn't really excel in anything. If anything, it's probably route running, being able to beat one-on-one coverage, even though he was pretty good against man and zone last season, according to Matt Harmon's receptions perception. But overall, he's felt like the guy that could come in and put up 1,000-yard season with Garrett Wilson if Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. Without it, when Allen Lazard is wide receiver 2, when you have someone as good as Aaron Rodgers, he can mask some things, but it does feel like just a minor step back over what this offense could have been with a guy who still has a lot of untapped potential in Elijah Moore. Now he's going to the Browns, who Donovan Peoples-Jones is there, but I don't think he solidifies wide receiver 2. Elijah Moore could go in and command the second most targets on this team. And Deshaun Watson, who had a down season, obviously only playing a handful of games, he still has all the talent in the world to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I'm not going to take this small 5-6 game sample size if he didn't play for a year and a half and say he's done, washed, he's never going to be able to do it again. But I think Elijah Moore is going to have success in Cleveland. I'm an Elijah Moore fan. I was upset when he wanted to get traded because we saw that rookie year when Zach Wilson got hurt and we had a couple games like Josh Johnson, that Colts game. We had Flacco. Like Elijah Moore went on a run where he was like 100 yards, 80 yards, 60 yards, and he was just putting up some crazy numbers.
Rookie season.
His rookie season.
Tony too.
Yeah. Okay. He's whatever. But
He did.
Elijah
Darius
Moore.
Toney had a moment.
A very small moment.
Better than Elijah
But
Moore's
I thought
moment.
Elijah Moore showed more consistency throughout these 2 years than Kadarius Toney has ever have.
It was close. Kadarius, he looked.
That game against the Dolphins,
The Cowboys-
Elijah was crazy.
The Cowboys game where he put up almost 200
That's what I'm
yards was
saying.
like half
Yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
production
No,
his whole
that was it.
career.
That was the
but
moment.
his moment is better. You're
I
not
don't-
raving about
I don't
Kadarius
know.
Toney here.
He had weeks.
Yeah, no, Elijah did.
I can look it up.
So I think the Jets, Odell does seem like someone that's a very strong possibility at this point. I think that's the perfect fit. He doesn't have to come and be the wide receiver 1. He could come in and be exactly what he was on LA. You have Cooper Kupp there, obviously better than Garrett Wilson, but you have the wide receiver 1, and you have Odell, who's going to get secondary coverage, obviously secondary, but not primary, the primary corner on him. He'll be able to eat it up. And then once you have Lazard and McCole as your 3 and 4, you feel more comfortable there.
He went 6 for 67 against Cincinnati. This started around 6, week 6. So then against Indianapolis,
That was a big game.
he had 7 receptions, 84 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then he had 3 receptions for 44 yards and a touchdown. Then against Miami, 8 receptions, 11 targets, 141 yards and a touchdown. Then he goes 4 for 46, no touchdowns against Houston, but you guys won. And then he goes 6 receptions for 12 targets, 77 yards and a touchdown. Then he gets hurt.
How many 100-yard games?
1.
I mean, Tony had 420 yards his rookie year, and he had 180 in one game.
I mean, he only had 1.
It's amazing. 189 is a lot.
Listen, Elijah Moore, he's not unreplaceable. Don't get me wrong.
He had 1, 2, 3, 4,
He's a good
5
player.
touchdowns in 6 weeks. 5 weeks, excuse me. It's great.
And
Good for
Tony
him.
had 170 yards this season. Come on, bro.
He's injured.
And he had a
He's
touchdown in the
always
Super Bowl, bro.
injured.
Come on, bro. Put some respect on Tony's name,
My
bro.
fault, my fault.
He did have a kick return touchdown. He had a punt return touchdown. He sealed the Super Bowl for the Chiefs. Is Elijah Moore doing that? No, he's not. Now listen, Dehls, I know that you may not understand where I'm coming from because, listen, man, when it comes to the Jets, I want players to be all in or all out. Never seen any of us once give up on the Jets. They're bad or they're good. We stay fans of the Jets. And Elijah Moore just didn't ride with the Jets the entire time.
See that ass?
I'm not acknowledging. You know, what's the thing?
He was done with the Jets after
I've-
they benched Zach.
I've realized a part of this show that I'm sure fans miss is me spazzing on some shit like this with Joel. But I feel, as a human being, you have to grow.
You do.
And when he says some shit like this, the
Just
old,
the, like, utter
old,
lies.
Old me would get angry. I'm just like, all right, this is Joel. I'm allowed the
He's
fans
just
to
going to
get
lie
angry.
to people.
I never once gave up on the Jets.
You said you were done with the Jets when Zach Wilson got
he
benched.
said he's a Zach Wilson fan, not a Jets fan.
Okay.
No, I said, quote unquote, I said it's the New York Jets, not the New York Zach Wilsons. That's what I said, quote
You're
for
sick,
quote.
man.
That's what I said, bar for bar. You could go back to the
believe that?
clips.
You said you're ready to be a Chiefs fan because you're tired of having not having a franchise
And listen, I
quarterback.
root for them for sure. I do. Bengals, Chiefs, had it on my body.
So gross.
Along with the Jets. I root for them all day long.
3 AFC teams.
Yeah, no
It's
doubt.
nasty
prison.
work. It's nasty
No
work.
doubt. I've been a
And the
Chiefs.
2 are rivals
I've been a Chiefs and Bengals fan since I was a child.
Okay, right. Your dad.
that we just
Yeah.
found out about it this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works.
Because even last year when the Bengals were doing their thing, he never mentioned that once.
No.
Man, I was
You
a
just had an
big
agenda
I was
push.
a big Bengals agenda pusher though.
Yeah, but it was never like, oh, my dad liked it when I was a kid.
I was
Now
always a
it's-
Bengals fan though.
Right,
Always root for the Bengals. What you know about Andy Dalton? What you know about
nothing,
Carson
nothing.
Palmer?
You know so much more.
What
The,
you know about-
Bengals
what-
fans since day one. You were watching TJ Houston
What you know
battle
about
highlights when I
Boomer
walked in
Esiason?
here.
What you know about that? What you know about Joe Montana with the Chiefs?
Mm.
What you know about that? You don't know nothing.
Nothing. No.
Because I've been there.
Nice.
I've been there, Dehls.
You were there
I've
for sure.
seen it.
I remember that.
Live.
I remember
I
that.
saw it.
Remember that.
Come
You're
on,
a big
Dehls.
Ocho Cinco fan.
So do you think that Elijah Moore cracks 1,000?
He could. It's possible.
No, he can't.
No. With Deshaun, he definitely can.
Chance.
He without a doubt can.
He has no chance to do it. There's no chance.
No chance. It's just straight up rude, I'll be honest.
Jalen Green has 16 first half points.
Oh, you hate to see that.
You thought Gabriel Davis had no chance to crack 1,000. So why is it crazy for me to say Elijah Moore doesn't have a chance?
Well, did he get 1,000?
Gabe Davis didn't, but he's going to be close. He was closer.
Because Elijah Moore's been playing with the worst quarterback playing in the NFL, and Gabe Davis playing with Josh Allen.